Bibles this morning, would you turn with me to 2 Timothy chapter 4. Verse 6 to 8, 6, 7, 8. Second Timothy chapter 4, reading from verse 6. For I am already being poured out as a drink offering, and the time of my departure has come. I have fought the good fight, I have finished the course, I have kept the faith. In the future there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day. And not only to me, but also to all who have loved his appearing. This is Paul writing to Timothy. And if you want to add a little bit of context, he's really telling Timothy that he's got to be very aware of the times that he is in. That Paul's kind of tenure is coming to an end. But Timothy's is taking off. And he says to Timothy in verse 2, preach the word, be ready in season and out of season. Reprove, rebuke, exhort with great patience and instruction. Telling Timothy really to be ready to do what he has to do, whether he may feel like it or not, whether he is equipped for it or not, whatever. He needs to be able to preach the word and to be ready to preach the word. And he gives the context for the season that he will be in. He says, it will be in a time when people will not want to listen to the word that you are preaching. He says, people will not want sound doctrine, but rather they will want you to preach to substantiate or to kind of validate the behavior that they are espousing. They will not want to align themselves with the behavior of the Word of God, but they will want you to preach in such a way that their behavior is validated. That will be the kind of time that you will find yourself in. He says, they will, wanting to have the ears tickled, they will accumulate for themselves teachers in accordance to their own desires, and will turn away their ears from the truth, and will turn aside to myths. But in all of this, he says, you be sober in all things, endure hardship, do the work of an evangelist, and fulfill your ministry. In all of this, he's saying, Timothy, you do what you need to do. Make sure that you are sober in all things, endure hardship, do the work of an evangelist, and fulfill your ministry. And then he says, because my time is over. He says, I'm being poured out as a drink offering. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the course, and I have kept the faith. And he says, in the future, there's laid out for me, he says, this crown of righteousness. As I read that, I thought it's a kind of an encouragement to, in a way, to Timothy to keep going strong, and if he has not yet kind of jump-started his ministry, that it's time to jump-start his ministry. To find out what his purpose is, and to be able to then start fulfilling his purpose. Because Paul is saying, people like me, he says, are on their way out. We've completed what we need to do. And the onus is now on you to carry on the ministry. And he says, I have fought the good fight, I have finished the course, I have kept the faith. About a couple of years back, I received a letter from a friend who had been writing to me over the years about his father. And the letter said, my dad graduated to glory early this morning, July 30th. He died peacefully without pain or anxiety. My mom, sisters, and brothers were with him. I thank each of you that have visited Paul, written, and prayed over his past 7 months. Your words of encouragement meant so much to him and to all of us. What a privilege to hear of the lives he impacted during his 76 years. May that influence extend throughout the generations. He went on to say, my dad's life verse was Psalm 71, 17 and 18. And he quotes, since my youth, O God, you have taught me, and to this day I declare your marvelous deeds. Even when I am old and grey, do not forsake me, O God, till I declare your power to the next generation and your might to all who are to come. And his son adds, and so he did. And so he did. I read this past week, or was it the week before, that Billy Graham entered his 100th year. And as I read that, I was thinking back at my bookshelf. I have a book, 40 Years of Crusades. It was written so long back, and when he had completed 40 years. And in that book, he mentions how he and 3 others sat down in a hotel room and prayed when they started their ministry that they would in no way ever compromise the good name of Jesus at the start of their ministry. And when you look at the ministry that he's had and see, he's never done that. All through his life till this point, Jesus has been a sweet, sweet-smelling, fragrant offering that he has offered up at every stage to him. I have fought the good fight, I have finished the course, I have kept the faith, as all these people have done. But as I read the scripture, it reminded me that very few of us can really get to the point where we say that right now. For us, what we would be able to say would be, I am fighting the good fight, I am finishing the course, and I am keeping the faith. There's a present continuous component to it. We cannot use the past tense in any degree at this point of time. It has to be the present continuous because we still have breath. We're still going strong. I am fighting the good fight. I am finishing the course, and I am keeping the faith. And even as we kind of look at it from that perspective, we need to ask the question, are we? Are we fighting the good fight? Are we fighting the good fight? Because at the end of the journey, Paul says, I have fought the good fight. And he says, to me, who has fought the good fight, I know that it is laid up for me the crown of righteousness. That's waiting for me. Why is it waiting for me? Because I have fought the good fight. And we need to ask the question, whether we are indeed fighting the good fight. Is there a fight that is going on in the life that you and I are living? Is there a fight? Or is life fairly straightforward? Is it fairly simple? Is it going along quite smoothly? Would we characterize our lives as a life that is filled with a fight? I was even in preparing the sermon, I was thinking, who wants to hear that, right? I mean, just keep moving, Pastor. Let's not kind of go there. Those are uncomfortable things to ask us. Then you want me to look at my life and say, am I uncomfortable with my life? Because if I'm in a fight, then I need to be uncomfortable with things that are going on. And if life is going on well, then you're making me uncomfortable by asking me these kind of questions. It's not a nice path to go down on. And even in sermon preparation, there's a point that you reach where you say, do I need to go down this path? But I'm going down this path. And asking yourself, as I ask myself, are there fights that I'm fighting? Or have I stopped fighting? Have I checked out on those kind of fights? Standing up for what I believe in. The things that I believe about the Word, which were things that I would stand up for, have I stopped? Principles that I believed in, that previously would have caught me and said, wait a minute, you can't do that. You can't say that. That's not behavior that is consistent with the Word of God. Where I would have stood up and said something about it, do I not take a backseat and say, that's okay. It's not my fight. I was watching this ad, I'm not sure whether it's on TV or on the computer, but it's about a bus ride or a train ride. And there's a girl who's sitting alone in one of the seats, and three guys get in, and then they look around, and it's a lonely compartment. There's just one man sitting with his daughter, and I'm not sure there's somebody else there. And these three guys see this girl sitting by herself, and then they go and stand around her, and they begin to pass comments about her. And then they get braver since nobody's doing anything, and they pull her hair, and she tries to get away. She looks around, but nobody is supporting her. And this man who's sitting with his daughter is sitting there, and he just says, come this side, and gets her inside rather than on the aisle. And then a guy gets into the next stop, and he sits at the back, and he's watching what's going on. And these three boys are getting bolder with taunting this girl, and he sees what's going on, and he walks up to this man with his daughter, and he touches this guy's daughter. And the father immediately gets up and he asks him, what are you doing? And the boy says, you get so upset because this is your daughter, but you are not bothered that this girl is somebody's daughter. Should you not think that this is a sister or a daughter of somebody and get involved? You're only involved because you think somebody is touching your daughter. Should we not care about this girl who is somebody's sister or somebody's daughter? And it brought on to me this thought that we are getting into a place where we want to be in places of least resistance, isn't it? We don't want to get involved. It's not our fight. But it begs the question, is it not? Is it okay that we can walk away and say, I'm not getting involved in that? I fought the good fight. Is that not the fight that we should be involved in as a Christian? It made me think, what does it mean to have fought the good fight? What are the fights that God expects us to fight? Are there any of those fights happening in my life? Or do I look at my life and say, things are just beautiful? I haven't a care in this world, I'm sailing along quite well. There isn't a fight that I'm in. And if there isn't a fight that we're in, is that okay? Are we on the right path? Is that the Christian path that we need to be on? So I ask you, as I ask myself, are we fighting the good fight? Are you and I fighting the good fight? Are we on the road to receiving this crown of righteousness that is waiting for those who fight the good fight? And then he says, I've finished the race. Or for us, in context, I'm finishing the race, which means that we are on the race. We are in a race. We're running. I've never been somebody to run a race. I love sport, and cricket was something that I got into, but athletics, not really. But when I was in school, high school actually, they made me the house captain. I don't know why, but I was house captain. And when sports day came, I thought that I should somehow be involved. If you're house captain, then something you should take part in. And I looked at all the different things and I thought, well, 100 meters dash will leave you restless and coming last, didn't want that. 50 meters even so. Then I thought this 1,500 meters sounded good. you kind of amble along and with everybody else. They seem to be just jogging along. I thought that would be the best race for me. So I entered in the 1,500 meters, a whole bunch of guys standing in the starting lineup. They said start, and we all took off, and I also took off, and it was going along well. Then I realized that there were quite a few laps that we had to do in that, 3.5 laps or something like that. And then I noticed that the air around me was getting more rarefied. A lot of the people who were with me at the start had all disappeared. Then I finished one round and my legs began to have a conversation with me, saying, "Are you mad? Did you really think we could do this?" And I said, "What's your problem? You just put one in front of the other." And he said, "Yeah, that's difficult. At this point it's getting very difficult." And then I noticed there was nobody around me. But I said, "I'm not giving up. I'm the house captain. I need to keep going." And so I kept going. And then I realized that people who were in front of me about 15 minutes before were now coming behind me and passing me. And I thought, they've actually completed one round more than I have completed. And when now I couldn't see anybody around me, and I was plodding along, and people were claiming to clap for me. I thought, boy, this is terrific. I'm going to finish this thing and in a blaze of glory and all of that. And I realized I was holding up the entire sports day. Because the next one couldn't be done because I was still on the track. And I finished it, everybody clapped and all of that. And this house captain came in and he finished the race. But I finished the race. But you have to be in a race to finish the race, isn't it, beloved? Right? You have to be on the track to be able to finish that race. As Paul was saying, I finished the race, I thought to myself, it's so easy to be a spectator rather than the participant. Right? It's so easy to be the one to clap for others and not be the one actually trying to run the race. And look at what he tells Timothy. He says, "Timothy, you be sober in all things, endure hardship." He wasn't talking of an easy race. Endure hardship. Do the work of an evangelist. Fulfill your ministry. It wasn't going to be easy. It's going to be difficult. I think somewhere along the way, we seem to have got an impression that the Christian life is an easy life. Isn't it? That we do what we need to do, and then we come in on a Sunday, we worship together, we sing the hymns and do all of that, and then we go and it's easy. What is he talking about when he says endure hardship? Are you enduring hardship? Is life difficult for you? Again, if we cannot tick that box, then somehow we're not on the same path as Paul and Timothy are. He's talking of something else. Where's the hardship? Which again begs the question, are we in this race? Are we on the same page as Paul and Timothy? I love reading this account of a Tanzanian runner who took part in the 1968 Mexican Olympics. It was a 42-kilometer race, and at the 19th kilometer he collided with another runner and fell, badly cutting and dislocating his knee. He also hurt his shoulder when he hit the ground. There were 57 competitors in that race, and when everybody had finished, he finished last after 3 hours and 25 minutes, 27 seconds. It was 7 p.m. when he finally finished the race. And there were just a few people left, 1,000 people left in the auditorium, in the stadium when he completed it. His name was John Stephen Akwari. A lone runner wearing the colors of Tanzania emerged at the stadium gate, limping with his leg bandaged. He found the last of his endurance to step up his pace and finish the race. When interviewed later and asked why he continued running despite his injuries, he simply said this: "My country did not send me 5,000 miles to start the race. They sent me 5,000 miles to finish the race." They didn't send me there to start the race. They sent me to finish the race. Beloved, I want to ask you this morning, having started the race, having started the race, are you still on course to finish it? Or have you somehow got off the track? Are you still trying to finish it, bandaged and all? Hurting, bleeding, whatever, because there's hardship involved in it. Are you limping towards that finish line? Because nowhere in the Bible does it say that living the Christian life is an easy life. Living the Christian life is not about church attendance. It doesn't say, when you look at living the victorious Christian life, it doesn't give us accounts of different church services that were held where they sang half an hour worship and then, heard a sermon and they went. That was what it meant of living a life of hardship. Doesn't say that. And if that is what is counted towards living a Christian life for you and for me, we've got it wrong. Somehow the equation is wrong. We're not on track for that crown of righteousness that the Bible is talking about. Then he says, I've kept the faith. I've kept the faith. And in context for us, I'm keeping the faith. I'm keeping the faith. Are we? Are we keeping the faith? What does it mean to keep the faith? It surely doesn't mean salvation. It's not talking about salvation. Keeping the faith here is making sure that we live as disciples of Jesus, isn't it? That we model what Christian behavior must be as disciples of Jesus. That we never compromise on the principles of the kingdom. That we live as sons and daughters of God. We abide by the abiding principles of God's word. That's keeping the faith. And never compromising. Are we doing that? And keeping the faith for you and for me is very individual. I can't keep the faith for you, as you can't keep the faith for me. Keeping the faith for you is bound up in who you are and your purpose for living. It's bound up with that. The reason that God placed you on this earth is bound up with keeping your faith. You keep your faith in the context of who you are. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's only one you. And that you is how your faith gets espoused. You live your faith through who you are. As the only person among billions in this world. So your faith gets fleshed out uniquely as how God intended it to be. I can't live out your faith. And the world will never see what it would have meant for your faith to be lived out by me trying to live it. You have to live it out. And that's God's intended plan for you and me. You've got to live out your faith through who you are, who God intended you to be. Uniquely you. So you can't take a backseat and say, it's okay, we let the so-and-so be the Christians. Let them live out their faith. I'll just do what's necessary. No. The kingdom of God limps along when that happens. It's not fulfilling its own potential. in the world as God intended it to be. Each one of us has a reason for existence. Each one of us. That God has uniquely molded, crafted, and placed us on this work, on this earth. And nobody else can live out your reason. Nobody else. And it's in context of that we live out our faith. Paul saying, I've done it. Timothy, now it's your turn. As we read it, we see it's my turn and your turn to live out our faith. I read passages of scripture like this and I say, this is not easy stuff. It's not easy stuff. This is not the welcoming words to say to new believers. You want to endure hardship? Come be a Christian. Right? This is our invitation. You want life to get difficult? Come be a Christian. This is our evangelical call. Wonderful, isn't it? And yet, this is what makes Christians. This is the way that society gets transformed. This is God's plan. It is only through this that transformation can take place around us. If we fulfill our reason for existence in the places that God has placed us. If our faith gets worked out in those places, that's the only way. I was reading the account of Lazarus yesterday and had this strange thought. I read through the whole passage. Lazarus dies, they send word to Jesus, and there's a strange line in that says, and Jesus decided to stay 2 more days after hearing that Lazarus was sick. And then he comes, and then Mary and Martha come to him and say, I wish you'd come 2 days earlier. I wish you'd come earlier. Our brother would not have died. And then, of course, Jesus says to Lazarus, come forth, he comes forth, and all of that. And I thought to myself, I wonder how things would have changed if John's account had stopped with, and they came and told Jesus, if you had come earlier, our brother would have lived. If that was the end. I wonder what would have followed after that. Because with you and me, that's the norm, isn't it? That's what happens in our lives. When our loved ones die, they die. Lazarus is the exception to the rule. I don't know how many of you have looked at your loved ones when they've died and prayed and they've come back to life. We had recently that there was a pastor who lost his son and believed that there would be a resurrection and kept the body alive for 12 days, praying for that life, but at the end of it, it didn't happen that way. And they had to bury the body. For most of us, that's the way life is. We love reading that story about Lazarus and we celebrate with Mary and Martha, but life for us ends. For us, more likely it is the tomb. I mean, take Elijah, right? We love the Mount Carmel experience. Boy, imagine that, setting up an altar, praying to God, let fire come, take that offering and all that. We revel in that beautiful, picture of fire coming and taking that offering, and the priests of Baal standing there, amazed, the children of Israel saying, this is God, this is wonderful, and all of that. And yet, 2 chapters later, there's another prophet, Micaiah. He stands in front of Ahab and he says the same thing in front of the priest of Baal, and he says, he prophesies, and all he gets is a slap and put into the dungeon. That's more the norm, right? I thought to myself, that's where we live. That's where we live, which is why Paul is talking about endure hardship. That's the Christian life is filled with it. Why else would Jesus, God say, my grace will be sufficient for you? There's power that I will make available to you because you're going to go through difficult times. Are we utilizing that power? Do we even need it in our lives? Is there any use for that grace? Or is life going so beautifully that we say, it's okay, God, we don't need that grace. Life is hunky-dory by itself. In which case, having missed the life that God is asking us to walk on, are we off the track? Are we not fighting the good fight? Finishing the race? Keeping the faith? Somehow have we thought that meeting like this is the Christian life. Where do you go from here? I don't know about you, but I'm challenged by that. Because if these words don't resonate with us, then there's a disconnect between the kind of life that we are living and the kind of life that Paul is living, or the life that he's telling Timothy to live. And these are the men that we ought to be looking at and emulating. They're modeling for us Christian discipleship. What it means to be a disciple of Jesus. Somehow we need to look at our lives and say, what's my purpose? Why am I here? Why has God placed me on this earth? Especially here, in this century, in this time. Why place me here now? Why did He put me on this earth 200 years back? Or 1,000 years back? Why now? Why has He clothed me in these particular gifts and talents? In this particular place, geographical location? Why? It's not random. His particular will is at play here. Should we not inquire? Why? I love Psalm 12. Even though we walk through the valley of dark shadows, yet I will fear no evil. Why? Why fear no evil? Because God is saying, there will be dark shadows, and in those places it is easy to fear evil. But I will be with you. I think that's what He wants us to embrace. To say, Lord, I don't know what this may mean for me. But Lord, I want to embrace it. Maybe we've gotten off the racetrack. Maybe we need to get back on. Maybe we've stopped fighting the fights that we used to. Maybe we need to get back there. Stand up for the things that we used to stand up for. Maybe we've never done it. Maybe today is a good day to start. Say, Lord, I want to be able to stand one day in front of you and know that I fought the good fight. I finished the race and I kept the faith. Oh Lord, I want to say that. I want to be able to say like Paul that I did these things. I know that there's a crown of righteousness waiting for me. typically we stand there and say, I didn't finish the race. Isn't it, beloved? So let's pray. Let's talk to the Lord this morning. You talk to Him, I will. Ask Him what He's saying to you. Respond to Him, and I'll bring our time to a close. Holy Spirit, speak, for we are listening. Use every part of us that you have control over to help us make a decision. Then, Lord, where we are wavering, challenge those parts, Lord. Come into full submission to you. Lord, where there is fear, remind us that you say to us so many times in your word, fear not. Lord, this morning we want to fulfill our reason for existence according to your will, Master. Help us to understand it. Help us, Lord, to respond to you the way that the songwriter said, I'll go where you want me to go. I'll do what you want me to do. I'll say what you want me to say. And I'll be where you want me to be. Take complete control, Master, of our lives. Oh, Master, we love you. For your sake, Lord Jesus, we invite you to show us the way and just do a work in us.